Justine Bateman is a filmmaker, author, and former third grader. She rose to fame at a young age, playing Mallory Keaton in the 1980s sitcom Family Ties, and received Emmy and Golden Globe nominations. A few years ago, Justine made her directorial debut with a film called Violet, which is about grappling with fear and self-doubt, topics we'll discuss today. As a vocal advocate for natural aging, Justine promotes self-acceptance, challenging both society and Hollywood's standards. She wrote about this in her most recent book, Face, which delves into the cultural and psychological aspects of growing older. Her previous book, Fame, dissects that topic at length. Your movie that I'm in, called Feel, which friends of mine saw at your film festival, and we were at a Barnes and Nobles because you very generously moderated a talk.
Yeah, that book was so great.
Thank you. The Reservoir over there, and you came into the green room and said, and I forget what your direction was.
Oh, it was just with all these different people. I just put a camera on them and said, we're just going to sit here for 30 minutes. And
it was 30 minutes.
Yeah, you can talk or not talk. Totally up to you. And then for anyone who didn't talk, near the end, I would ask, what's been on your mind mostly lately?
Was I still on camera when you asked me that? Because when I saw the film, it's me just sitting there, but then there's a bit of a voiceover. So that was...
Yeah, what I had was... I also did all this color dye art.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Right? But yeah, just had what people had said over just the sound over them sitting there silently, and also over the color dye. So I matched like a color dye piece to each person.
And did you have a sense of, it's called Feel. I don't know if you told me if it was called Feel or not. And I don't know if you gave me any direction aside from what you just said.
Yeah.
But was there, in your mind, did you know what that film was going to be about when you started it, or did you just no?
And
tell me what you thought when you started it. Why you thought that was going to be a generative idea?
I didn't. Okay. Usually, I do a project. I know exactly, or I believe I do. Right. Know exactly what the objective is, what the thesis statement is, and all that. And I was interested in everything everybody was saying. And a lot of people said very profound things. And it's not like I pushed them to... Yeah. That just happened to be... I know a lot of people who think profound thoughts.
Right.
I guess.
Right.
Because I just say, what have you been thinking about mostly lately? And then what came to my mind next was, you should record... You should do an audio recording of all your journal entries about this process of making a film in this manner. And I was like, me personally as a person, I was like, no fucking way. Like, I don't want to share. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But then me as a director was like, I knew that was the thing that was going to sort of be the spine through it, the progression through it, because the rest of these are standalones, and it's not. And I was like, what would compel me to watch the next one? And it's like, if there was a progression, a thread through it that kept me, that I wanted to know what's next.
And what do you think that thread was?
The thread was me having such a problem with doing a film in this manner. I had a real problem with it. And my pattern is like, I have to dig then and find out, why do I have a problem with this? Why is this pushing my buttons? So that I can get rid of whatever irrational fear or whatever I had under that. And so the journal entries were like exposing that as I did the project.
Right.
Like, these actors are going to think I'm a fucking idiot. That they ask me, what are you doing with this? And I say, honestly, I don't know.
I tell you, it's very interesting because I want to ask you about like this, not the standards, but the criteria, because, this is nominally about failure. The criteria when you go into an experimental movie, a movie like that,
avant-garde,
like
uncharted.
The criteria is different. Like failure, you're not talking about box office or whatever. So you have an intrinsic sense of, did I do it or did I not do it? I think.
Yeah. I mean, we should always, though.
I know.
Right? That should always be, I see writing, directing, and producing as a service position.
Great.
You're servicing, we have to understand what the project is about, right? See if you agree. And then you have to service that.
But what I hear you
Ideally.
saying. No, but what I hear you saying is you are doing the project in order to understand why you're doing the project. Like it's almost like you talked about fear, like, okay, I'm afraid of something. It seems like the movie is an answer to that in a way, but you don't know that going in. So like, I think the best stuff that I've ever done has been like, I have no idea aside from like, okay, it's a paycheck, whatever. I'm doing it. But then I find out later, oh, that's why I did that.
Yeah, that's great. But you're a director too. So, like as an actor, you can walk in like that. Because also,
yes, right.
Acting is more ephemeral compared with directing and writing. And, you can, I was going to make a construction comparison, but I can't think of a really good one right now. But when you're writing or directing, you have to be setting, acting, you're setting a structure too, but it's more
really
ephemeral.
I feel like, well, you talking like this, I think you're talking about like you have to make a foundation.
And because you're setting something that every other department is going to be following.
Right.
So it can't, I guess it can. Warhol did it. To just set something that's like, I don't know what this is. Let's see.
Yeah.
I guess maybe I was able to do that with these two films because they cost almost no money.
Right.
And I didn't have any financiers asking what's going to be done with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember to go back to the direction you gave me, which I hadn't remembered till now. And in my memory, it was like I was sitting there for 5 minutes. You tell me it's 30 minutes. Interesting. I just remember feeling, what does she want? At first, like, what does she want? And then I thought, okay, well, that's probably not the right question to be asking myself. What am I feeling? I don't know if you told me if it was about feeling or if you told me to look at you or not look at you or.
No, I think it was just like, maybe you were asked and I said, whatever you want, you can, you just can't go to sleep, can't get up, can't look at your phone.
What I would feel my shortcoming as a interviewer would be is like, I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. And I think as a director, sometimes you have to deal with people who work best if they're comfortable, and then they work best if they're uncomfortable. So people are very different in what they respond to, what they give their best to. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, I was dealing with like, how do I give Justine, what does she want? Like, how can I give her what she wants here? That's 30 minutes is a long time. So I probably got past that. And it's like, well, I'm sure it's whatever it is. I don't really understand it, but should I try to feel something? Should I not try to feel something? Okay, now I'll just like sit here and think. I don't mind sitting here and thinking. And then that's all I remember. And I thought, I didn't think about it again. Until my friend said, I saw that movie. And I was like, and she said, it's really good. And I was like, well, I'd like to see it. And then I watched it and I was like, I was moved in some weird ways. It doesn't move you in the way that movies move you. When you go to, it's like, I'm not like caught up in the story.
The story, right.
But I'm caught up in something, and that's why it works. I'm caught up in an ambiance, a mood, a something, a question. I think it does things that movies can do, but we don't often ask them to do,
Yeah. I think, and I really think that's part of where the new genre in film is going to go. Like it's something like that's really, like really real and human and raw.
Yeah.
Whereas this sort of shadow of what, the film business that we knew, as far as I'm concerned, it died. It's done. But now there's this
What do you mean by that?
I mean the business that where there was enough room for every genre.
Right.
There was enough room for there was Suzanne Summers and Sir John Gielgud,
right.
And everyone coexisted. There was enough money to go around. Our financial ecosystem was really healthy. It worked.
Yeah.
It worked, the way the audience paid us, the way advertisers paid us, residuals, all of that.
Yeah.
And then the streamers came in and really carpetbaggers, as far as I'm concerned. And
can you define carpetbaggers for those who haven't studied American history?
Sure. They come on into an arena and basically fuck it all up. Undercut everyone, get it to a point where you've eliminated the competition that existed when you stepped in, and then do whatever you want. And just almost for the sake of it, or,
well,
for
funny,
money.
Because in the beginning, when, Netflix is starting to get really active, 2016, 2017, and then, Apple and then Amazon and, everybody starts making streamer entities, I thought, wow, there's so much more. There's so much more opportunity. This is fantastic. But in fact, what you're saying happened.
Well, here's how it seemed to me. So we go back, I think 2013, 2014 was when House of Cards.
Right.
Okay. So we go a little bit before that, and the studios they weren't really doing those mid-level projects anymore, right? We still had some independent film being done, but they were loving this pattern of, spending $100 million to make $100 million, right? To clear $100 million. And even though you're only doubling your money, they don't want to spend time with smaller films that are maybe going to quadruple or, 10 times what the budget was.
If it's only a $5 million budget, you're only making $50 million.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So why put you put the same amount of effort into the promotion and, looking over the script beforehand and all of that. Right. But they were smart about one thing. When they first came in, they saw what was missing, that mid-level, and Amazon did Manchester by the Sea, Netflix did House of Cards, and there was some good stuff being done, either acquired or being produced. And they were also doing a lot of licensing of studios stuff.
Yeah.
But then as they became more popular, the studios were like, hey, I don't want to make this licensing deal with you anymore. Screw you. What are you guys? This is, you guys are becoming bigger than us. So then they went, well, we'll make our own stuff then. And then their DNA, though, is it's a tech company DNA. It's a scaling DNA. Their whole business model is completely different. They have investors. They don't have to, and they also, for most of those companies, this isn't their primary business at all.
Not. Yeah.
So they don't really care if it does well or not. It's a loss leader.
It's branding. Yeah.
And, especially something like Amazon, it's like, oh, well, you can, while you're here, why don't you buy all this other stuff that we're selling? Anyway, so then, just wanting to scale and wanting to get more subscribers and all this, then they just started looking at keeping people there and thinking on an international level, which means genre stuff, not all the genres, but just the stuff where you don't need to know the language. Action, horror. So then they just started churning it out. And then you had the studios, instead of sort of retreating, going, okay, what's our competitive advantage over these people, right? We know how to make films, and we have relationships with all these stars. Then you got the problem of all the streamers throwing
the money,
buckets of money at them.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then the studio started chasing the tech model. And now on top of that, introducing AI, which can automate this content factory
generation.
And now it's just all fucked.
What I thought was very perceptive about the way you've spoken about AI is, my feeling is you cannot stop a technology. It's
not even trying to.
Yeah,
I hope they do it faster, so that it all
so we see what it's about.
Itself.
Yeah. So, but what even if it's weaponry, you know, you look at the history of the human race, we've never invented a weapon that we didn't use. You go to it's just,
that's interesting.
We don't do it. Like it's eventually it's going to happen. Like whether or not AI is this thing that's going to destroy human life, I personally think that's a bullshit kind of a fear that they're throwing at us, because I don't see it. But what you're talking about, what I've seen you talking about, what I've read about, is the chat GPT, the generative of a script, you know, feeding it Justine Bateman's writing and then saying, give me a script about, you know, two characters who meet in a pet store in the style of Justine Bateman. And now I've got this cute little rom-com here. And now, so you're saying, how do I compensate Justine Bateman for her style, for her previous work that's gone into the mulch in this chat GPT thing? And that's a great question. And I don't know how to answer it, but that is the question, because chat GPT and all this AI stuff has been educated using our experience. So how do we compensate? And we don't know at this point because they've put everything in there. It's already educated.
No, the answer is super easy.
Oh, it is? Good.
It's super easy, but they're not going to do it.
What's the answer?
It's just that. Look, generative AI is absolute 100% theft. Wholesale theft. It's the biggest violation of copyright violation in the history of the Copyright Office in the United States. Absolutely 100%. Unless they are, so for people that don't know, it's something like a blender, the AI models. Yeah. And if you, like you said earlier, if you want to write a book, you just put in as many examples of books as you possibly can.
You like or whatever. Yeah.
Every book you can think of.
Yeah.
And then, you give it a prompt, sort of a Frankenstein spoonful of what you've put into the blender, and you know about like you said, you know, a rom-com about bananas or whatever. Right. And it's provided you've given the model information about bananas and rom-coms, it'll give you this Frankenstein spoonful of it. Well, what you put into the blender, they didn't ask any, unless that model is fed only the programmers or the CEOs of these AI companies, only their journals and home movies and photos. You want to do that? Then great. But you can't train a model with a small subset like that. It has to be with absolutely as much as possible. And yeah, the whole do it and I don't know, I forget the term, go ahead and, break rules and apologize later or whatever the phrase is. But this is bullshit. This is like you just said, like everybody's, blood, sweat, and tears and IPs.
Yeah.
And then for anybody who says, IP should just go away, I'm like, well, sure. Why don't we all just...
then let's make all property go away.
Then we'll all just live at your house and drive your cars and just have this sort of free-for-all, I don't know, socialist structure. And then what you have is I think it's the tragedy of the commons where nobody's making anything then.
Right.
Because why should anybody? Like these two films that I made, I'm not putting them up online. I may have them behind a paywall on my Substack, but beyond that, why should I?
Because you want people to see them.
I want people to see them, but I don't want them to be AI fodder. I mean, what? I'm just one small, component. I'm just one filmmaker, but it's offensive. And these tech bros are repulsive to me. What if they? To me, they're not I have a computer science degree. You see, computer science degree. So I think programmers are fantastic, and there's such a genuine love of programming that software engineers have, and it's really kind of wonderful. But these tech bros that are, to me, it's another category. They're the carpetbaggers. They're powered. They seem to be powered by greed, and that's it. How does this benefit anybody? It doesn't. Mm. You want to sell our product, by the way, our product sliced and diced to this much larger audience of non-artists and make them pretend that they're artists.
Well, it's also, and this gets into the tricky part for me. I think I agree with you. And I want to talk about computer science as well, because you seem to be perfectly suited to talk to both.
It's a good combo.
You can talk to both sides.
Yeah.
You can talk to the artists and you can talk to the programmers. So I think we should listen to what you're saying, because you have those two brains. I cannot do math. So, and it's just amazing to me that you went back to school in your 40s. I mean, and talk about
it was cool.
the failure of homework and shit like that, like having to go back into that. And I'd love to hear about that. But what was I? Oh, most disruptive technology is making things easier and more cheaply. And that, my grandfather was a barrel maker. It's called a cooper. World War I happened. He went at the age of 18 and was wounded 3 times. He fought with the Scottish Army, the British Army. And when he got back home in 1918, barrel making was automated. It was one of the things that, war often drives technological innovation. He had nothing to do the rest of his life, so he was a casualty of advancement, of how do we make things better and more cheaply. But that, again, the great mass of people wants their barrels cheap. Like my grandfather is a one-person casualty.
Yeah.
But the world gets the benefit of cheap barrels or whatever. So I think that the argument, what AI is going to make is, we have to pay Justine a lot of money to write that script. And then we're going to have to charge you a lot of money to see that movie because we paid Justine a lot of money and all those actors. We're going to make it cheaper this way. We're going to do it. We're going to, you like these Middle Eastern rugs that are handcrafted, but I've got something that you can't really tell the difference that was made by a machine, and I'm going to charge you 1/10 of what you would charge here. So I think I see that's the argument that those tech bros might make, is like, hey, we're just making it cheaper for people to enjoy,
But they're not, though.
I know.
They're making it cheaper, not financially cheaper, creatively cheaper for someone to feel like an artist. That's really what it is.
You think people really want to feel like an artist? That's a dream of people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's that, and also it taps at a heavy resentment that some people have. A resentment or a confusion about how
creativity works.
Yeah, how artists come up with anything.
There's that great line in the Dylan movie where he says, when people ask me, how did I write that song? All I hear is, how come I didn't write that song? And I think this goes back to something you were alluding to but hadn't gotten into, about different kinds of stories or different kinds of filmmaking that you see coming up. Think about the disruptions of technology and art, in art, most obviously photography. Oh my God. I grew up, I thought I was a painter. I paint things as they are. I paint these beautiful landscapes. Why would you've got a photograph of the damn thing. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Not that. What do I do? What am I going to do now? I've trained as a painter. This is my life. It's reductive to say, okay, here comes modern art, where we're no longer showing the world as it is.
Right.
We're showing, more of an interior, unconscious.
Yeah.
But it's got to be a response to photography in some way, of going like, fuck it. Like, I can't compete with that computer.
A friend brought that up to me, and I don't remember in the line of art history.
I don't know either. I could be speaking out of my ass. Like,
no, but my friend Paige brought that up, that the arrival of photography allowed for, impressionist. But I don't have. I don't think timing wise. I don't know that I'm exactly. With the introduction of photography and when impressionistic art or Dada art or Cubism and surrealism. I don't know if I have that timing right with photography, but it didn't exist before photography.
Right.
Yeah.
And we could say this is a net good. We could say, oh, wonderful that now we have this whole other style of art that was, but
in a few years, I think we will be able to.
Yes.
But I think the problem right now is that we can see the individuals who are perpetrating this for no motivation but greed. And that's what's, I mean, I want all of these, as much as I know this has to happen in order for this all to be destroyed so that we can have finally a new genre in the arts, because we really haven't had a new genre in the arts since the 90s of any real significance.
What was the new genre in the 90s? Websites or?
Well, when you, if you think about it, in film, that's, the rise of the independent film world.
Yeah, but I think it's more like that's the 60s, French avant-garde really coming to America. And then
grunge music.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I'm sure. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
no, not at all.
Whatever.
No, I welcome it. But relative to that, okay, so even saying like, okay, that was a revisit.
Yes.
But even relative to that,
right?
What's happened since 2003?
It's a lot of nostalgia. A lot of nostalgia.
Oh my God! It's like refried beans, like all day.
And the Marvel universe and this stuff I can't comprehend. But I'd even go through like in terms of acting. You've got stage actors, and all of a sudden now film comes in, and it totally revolutionizes the way actors act, because it's no longer the Yiddish theater where you're, or opera, where you've got to use this fucking body and voice, and that's all. I'm not getting any help. I've got to reach the back seats, and they got to feel me. And now I've got this camera in my face, and I don't really. I mean, I've just got to feel it.
Barely move.
I'm going to feel it. If I move, I'm out of frame. And then you've got silent movies become talkies, and then you hear these stories about these wonderful silent actors who didn't have great voices or who had Eastern European accents, whatever, and then they could not translate. So there's often these kind of leaps, these technological leaps that force you into different areas. Yeah. And I was wondering, when you said I've got this vision of things changing. I've been I'm not on the internet, but I hear about TikTok and I've seen the TikTok stuff, and being involved in music, I know that songs have basically changed from the form that we grew up in, which is like intro, verse, second verse, chorus, third verse, chorus, outro, just the way rock was. Songs are now all hooks. It's like if you don't give the hook in the beginning of the song, you're fucked, because people aren't going to be hanging around for the chorus. So
it's like the end of the second act in a film. That's your first scene.
Exactly. And that's what TikTok probably is, in a way. So I wonder like narratively, because I'm like a narrative guy. I love a good story. That's where my heart is. I grew up in it. I was educated in it. I feel it. I desire it. I want it. I'm probably not going to change. I'm not going to be satisfied by looking at TikTok all day. I might be diverted, but I won't be satisfied. Yeah. So I belong to a time that maybe is in the past or whatever, or maybe an art form that is dying, or a way of narrative storytelling that is dying. And I wonder, when I look at your films, that's not a narrative, and I'm impressed because I know you come from the same cultural education. You come from the same narrative need
same era,
to sit there in the dark and watch people go through shit and go through it with them. Yet you're moving away in those two movies anyway, and even in your books, which are not narratives, they're more like meditations. So I do think you are looking at a different way of storytelling that is driven by a little bit by the disruptive technology that we've been witnessing.
Yeah, and even just growing up and everything, I was always more interested in films that brought me into. I think it's fascinating that you could watch a film that'll bring you into a whole. I don't mean a world like world building.
I hate that phrase.
Mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, you're being brought into. You're kind of time, it's beyond time travel. You're traveling into an experience. You're like experience traveling, like 8.5. I can watch 8.5 and be brought into this kind of experience that Fellini made with music and camera movements and these actors and this attitude and what was going on at the time in Italy, the attitude then, and pull me, and I'm fucking there. Every time I see the film, like it's this capsule you can go in and have this complete experience, and it's always there. You can always like open it up and go in and have that experience.
And it's immersive, is what you're saying.
And it's immersive.
But the way we now see immersive film is like we beat you over the head until you're immersed.
Oh, it's lame. Or you got a VR. I knew VR wasn't going to go anywhere because it makes people feel nauseous. And also you don't know what's going on around you. The thing is, we're humans. Like, we're not going. You can't. Evolution doesn't move that quickly. Like, we're not all suddenly going to be into this, I don't really think that all these people watching TikTok don't want story, like you said.
I hope not.
Because I think there's something.
I still want to make them.
There's something in humans that really want that. But for me,
what you make me think is, everybody's terrified that AI is going to become human, that way. And for me, and destroy us. And for me, I'm looking at it as like, no, I think we're asking the wrong question. I think AI is making humans more mechanistic, and that's, to me, that's really the problem. It's like we are becoming more programmable in a way, and we are desiring things that computers might desire as information or input.
That's good. It's really like in an effort to make sure we're, quote, not left behind, on leading edge of technology. I mean, I think technology is just like a while ago, and you could say this about journalism too, they just ran out of things to do. They ran out of problems to fix. Like you think about like PayPal. What were we doing before PayPal? Well, we were calling. You want to order something in a catalog. We were calling, first of all, before the websites, right? We were calling.
It's all ease too. They didn't figure out how to solve
it was
problems. They just
but there was a problem once we were ordering on websites after we were doing the 800 numbers. We're ordering on websites, and every time you wanted to order something, you were putting in your credit card and address information every single time.
Right.
So when PayPal came, it was like, oh, this is a good solution. I just hit the PayPal thing and it goes through. I mean, there were a lot of things that.
But it's ease again. It's all ease. It's not a new thing.
Then I think they ran out.
Yes, I agree with you.
And they didn't want to do the hard shit. Like, how do you get all the plastics out of the ocean? Or how do you this? How do you that? And they just went, oh my God, what low-hanging stuff can we go for now? Well,
taxis. Yeah, Uber.
Uber, sure.
Airbnb. I mean, these are things that work really well, and I would say, it makes life easier, but at what expense? And how much easier is your life ultimately at the expense of these kinds of successes?
And then talking about ease, a lot of these AI companies are trying to sell you on this learned helplessness. Yeah. Sell you on.
Ease is not a goal.
Now it's
life.
Like, wow, everybody seems to be fine. And this is the old thing in advertising, If you have to show that your product solves a problem. And if there is not currently a problem, you better create one.
The armpit.
But now it's a lot of like, to me, I think it's really kind of sick. It's this like, shh, you can't do that. You can't write your own email. You can't make up your own bedtime story for your daughter. Come on, let us do it. Let us do it. Shh, lay down. Shh.
Yeah, you relax.
And I think it's very fucked up. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, did you lose your job? We'll get you a UBI. And I'm thinking, you think people are depressed and anxious now? Now you're going to say like, oh, don't worry, you're not going to need any jobs. We'll just hand you some money anyway. First of all, you're going to let the government's going to be then in charge whether or not you have enough money for rent or your mortgage or anything like that. And then you're going to take away people's sense of purpose at all. Even if they're at a job they hate, there's still something about doing work in exchange for money.
There's the struggle. Yes, there is.
And you're going to just think you can just take.
What you're saying makes total sense to me, because what I talk about, the original impetus for this whole conversation and for Fail Better, failure is a spiritual exercise. Failure is a religious exercise. Failure is human. That is what we do most of the time. And if you're talking about companies that are telling you you don't need to struggle anymore, it's going to be easy. We're going to make it easy for you. You won't have to fail because I have the answer. Oh, my memory fails me. I don't remember who directed that movie. Oh, here. There it is. Okay, I got it. I'm not embarrassed. I don't have to study some more. I don't have to refresh my memory. I don't have to learn. I don't have to learn because this thing has the answer. Learn. And learning's hard. Learning is a process of failure.
Yeah.
Because you have to master something. You've got to fail thousands and thousands of times. And I think what you're saying is, even if you're in a job that you hate, you're engaged in that struggle.
Here's a theory I've got, and I think if I think I could do a good essay. I think I could find enough evidence to support this. That generative AI is a kind of, I know people have ideas about this term I'm about to use, but think of it just in an academic sense. It's a kind of antichrist because it's trying to replace how people are to relate to God or a God. It will always be there for you. It will always give you the answer. Whatever you need, it will give it to you.
So when you start out, and this is very similar to my question about you starting out with the movie, Feel. When you start out with Face, you're not, what I don't see you saying is, hey, fuck you, straight white male patriarchy, you're making me feel bad about getting older. But you're saying, I'm feeling bad. Something is making me feel bad about getting older, or there's a fear. I'm working something out here. Let me try to work this out.
Well, with that one, and also with Fame, I had issues. I had issues with when my fame was descending, and people would say,
are you acting anymore?
Yeah, do you still act? Back when I was acting, and I thought, yeah, of course I am. So I had to get at so those two books were after I had worked it out.
So you'd worked it out. So in a way, I'm trying to kind of like guide it to this area around failure, which may which may or may not be germane to anything. But I'm thinking that you're feeling. Let's go with Fame. You're feeling there's a sense of failure around not being as famous as you were. For sure. How do you unpack that nonsense,
Well, for me, I had to get at why did that, this is a while ago, right? Where I was still acting. I'd ask myself, why did that bother me? Yeah, and that's exactly the thoughts that came up exactly were that about failure. I feel like an absolute failure. And it's interesting to think about. It's like, and then I go into, in the book, the idea that you were given this fame and then you fucked it all up. What'd you do? You dropped it. You broke it. As if it was, really fame. You have no control over it whatsoever. You really don't. Even people who try to manipulate it, you can't. It doesn't work that way.
Well, it's become brand now. People turn their fame into a brand, which to me is hideous. But people are so fascinated with fame, and I think
they are. I think because it's like love. They're like, it's similar to love in the, like you're. When somebody wants to be famous, it's because they want to be provided for. They want the money that they assume comes with the fame.
But did you want to be famous? I don't think you did. You didn't want to be.
No, never.
You had just started acting.
But this is why people are fascinated. I think why people are fascinated with fame, with people who have fame.
Yeah.
Because they assume all these things. They assume that you're being provided for. You assume you have lots of money. They assume that everybody loves you. They assume that you can do anything you want.
It's easy.
It's
ease.
easy.
You got the ease.
You get all these offers for all of these jobs. You all these opportunities, and you get to go to.
And you meet other famous people.
Candyland, and and you're with all these. They just assume and that everything is easy, and you're good looking too, and I think people wanting that is like a fear that they'll be forgotten. Or,
yes, right. Or is a kind of eternal life,
inconsequential. But I think
we all will be and are.
Yeah, and I think once you accept that nobody's going to remember you, it's very freeing. I mean, look, we're in the business and we can go down. Yeah. So we should know everybody that's on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, right? All those stars. And we only know like a quarter of them. Yeah. And yet those people were famous enough or had, enough money to buy a star, at some point. And yet even we don't know who they are, Yeah. But it's very freeing, instead of spending all your time trying to, maintain your brand. Like, why are you spending all that time doing that? Like, don't worry, it's not going to outlive you.
Yes, but also for me, it's like, I worry about sounding egotistical, but fuck it. It's, I had all these experiences. I was given a great education. I read a lot of great books. I saw a lot of great movies. I met great actors and directors. I learned so much, and I also got to work on arts in that way. And all that stuff is soil, and like I want to grow stuff out of that soil. Yeah. And when I'm part of it, the when I'm gone part of it is I kind of do want to leave behind a record of how I saw things. Like, I don't mind doing that. Like, even if it's going to be forgotten.
That's your like, that's what you're called to do. Like, that's your task.
Yeah.
So I mean, you tell me, I don't think it's because you want to be famous.
No, the only way I looked at fame was like, it makes that stuff easier for me to do.
Oh, yeah,
like, you'll give me this money to go do that because I'm famous at this moment.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's kind of a tail wagging the dog business that can really get you into trouble. Yeah. But this quote where you said, if something pushes my buttons, I want to get to what is the fear beneath that. What's your personal fear that's making you susceptible to these things? What life was like when fame was descending for me,
So that was an interesting experience. Yeah, I had to, but you're talking about failure and feel better, and to me, failure is truly the situation, whatever the situation is, came about exactly the way it's supposed to. So me assuming it's a failure is really just my expectation didn't match the glorious result.
Right.
That's all. It just didn't match. Okay, I'll tell you.
That's good.
Here's a okay, so I did this film, Violet. Right? Wrote, directed, and produced with Olivia Munn and Justin Theroux. And it didn't get any nomination. I mean, in the end, it got like a couple of something. It's hard for me to be totally objective of it, but I thought it was really different and fresh and new and profound and creatively really beautiful.
So when you sat there and you watched, right before you went to film festivals, you had the movie finished, you sat there and you watched it and you were like, that's something close to what I meant to be doing.
Oh, yeah. But I also, like, if somebody else had done it and I'd seen it, I would have been really jealous.
Oh, good.
But it didn't get any nominations for anything.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, with the exception of a couple of small things. And I was like, okay, that feels like a kind of failure.
Sure.
Right. Even, I'm not saying Oscars, but like,
I know.
Independent,
or
Gotham
box
Awards,
office.
something. Yeah, right.
Or make some money.
And then I went, well, wait, with my, theory that it's really just this went exactly the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And my expectations didn't match this glorious result. And what I realized in writing about that and, what's my fear, or my fear that, I forget what it was, but something like, I'm sure it was something like, then people wouldn't take me seriously. I want to be taken seriously as a filmmaker, and this is going to, whatever it was. And I thought, okay, well, if this was designed, like God looked at this situation and said, what the best outcome would be here is if she doesn't get any nominations at all. No wins, no nominations. And I thought, okay, if God loves me, why would he say that's the best outcome possible?
You like struggle.
And what I realized is, no, this makes me, and also I'd been through the whole doing the whole awards campaigns myself, and I know how much money, I've seen the menus now of how much it costs to get. So really, it's a marketing award, and if you can afford to play the game.
Which is why I love the Golden Globes, because they're just crazy.
Right? Yeah, and they had to jack the craziness out of that. Yeah. But I realized in having this experience and then doing, like I say, doing the journaling and stuff and figuring out what my issue was with it, I went, no, this is great. Now, I really actually don't ever want a nomination or a win in anything as a filmmaker. And in that feeling, then I will be exempt from ever trying to make a film that I think will get an award or a nomination. That creatively is an enormous freedom.
Wow.
So that's what I got from that. So that's an example of something that looks like a failure, and I go hold on, let me get the right perspective.
But there's that moment where you're you get into the crouch, right?
Oh, totally.
Oh, fuck.
I was like, no, I know I was faithful to what this film needed to be, but why then is this my result?
Yeah.
Out there in the world.
Who do I blame?
Well, like I said, I'm so used to what is it? Why is it affecting me like this right now? Mm-hmm. Why aren't I just going, yeah, so what? Mm-hmm. And then trying to dig up that, because I don't want to feel like that again.
Have you had that experience with your children? Because kids fail all the time, and you've got to somehow get them to that point that you're at somehow, but you can't do it for them. You can't say, right, fuck those people, they don't know how great you are, or... But
you still try it. You say that to them.
Yeah, because you don't want them to suffer, even though suffering is probably the best thing. Not eternal suffering, but just that struggle.
Yeah.
Through the failure.
Yeah. But so...
It's so hard to watch your kids struggle. I mean, for me, it was very hard.
Yeah, to have to go learn it themselves.
Yeah.
But, the empirical... the empirical experiences, well, that's redundant. To find out empirically that such and such is true or not is what really drives it into a person, I think.
Right.
To have the experience that, for me to say, don't pull that curtain, there's something behind it, I don't want you to, it'll do something bad to you.
Yeah.
And you believe it and you believe it and you believe it, and then someday you go,
right,
I don't care what the results are. I just have to find out.
Right.
To then see that was a lie, that then plants in you and makes you more fearless versus somebody telling you, oh, don't worry, there's nothing behind there. I don't know. There's something about experiencing it. So I understand them having to find out themselves.
Yeah.
Or having to hear it from someone else. And you're like, I've been telling you that for years.
Yeah, exactly.
But we did it too, right?
I can't remember. I remember, as a kid, I had this really weird moment with my dad where I swam competitively when I was really young, and I guess they just always assumed I would win. And I came home from a swim meet, and my dad was laying on the couch Sunday, whatever. I was laying on the couch, and he said, "How was it?" I said, I came in third, and he laughed like he thought I was lying. And I remember it to this day. It was because somehow I got the message, oh my God, I'm in a really dangerous position. I've set up my life so that nobody believes if I don't win. Hey, I got to win all the time or else I won't be, it's so otherwise I'm joking,
It's interesting, right? You're born you don't really know.
No.
You don't really know. You don't know what's of value. You know that you have a need to survive, when you're a child. But I mean, imagine, or let's say just as an adult, you step into some society that's completely different.
Yeah.
And you have to learn, what do they value? And then because we want to be part of that society, then we have this mimetic desire. We will desire what they're desiring, and we count that as important.
Now we're in a club.
Yeah. And the shame of it is now kids are, just side note, that kids are now looking around. What do adults value? Oh, they value influencers or quantitative value of people on social media. And they're like, okay, then I'll be like that. Okay, then I'll do videos too and all this. And I'm like, oh my God. And also just being watched.
Yeah.
Just being watched, or also, surveilling yourself, surveilling others. I don't think it's possible for a human to evolve properly if they're always being watched. And we know from experience of having been watched in a time when there was not surveillance on everybody, only on those that were famous. And we remember how, or at least I felt that I couldn't experiment with going forward as a person in my own personal, when I was in public.
Being watched, yeah.
But now everybody's doing that to themselves. I know I've kind of taken it off in a little direction. That's fine,
but it's like, it's the end of your book.
Yeah.
It's the end of Face, where you basically
in Face
give a rundown of the shit you've done.
Oh, in the end of Fame, yeah.
It's the end of Fame.
No, you're right. It is Face.
Yeah, so you say...
here's what you're looking at.
I had all these great experiences.
Yeah, this is from
life.
Skiing and going dancing at clubs and laughing and going on boats and and crying and being upset and being confused.
I mean, just the idea of like
looking at people scornfully.
What Botox does.
Yeah,
it paralyzes you. Like, do you want to be paralyzed? And
well, that's the big, like, paint whatever you want, imagine whatever you want on me. Let me be a blank slate for you. I mean, it's the ultimate people pleasing when you think about it.
To paralyze your face,
because you're saying project whatever you want on me. I'm not going to look at you. I mean, when some people are talking and I'm thinking like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you can do that like with your just like slight eyebrow, right? But if you don't want anyone to think, if you don't want anyone to know what you're thinking, paralyze your face.
Well, what insanity for an actor to do that then.
Yeah, especially as you get older, because I think when you're younger, your face is, full of fat and moisture and everything. And so it's a little harder.
Less expressive.
It's less expressive. So as you get older, because the skin is looser, you don't have to move your face as much at all to get certain expressions across. So it's a real asset to be able to, it's a real asset as you get older for an actor. So yeah, I agree.
I was always attracted to like the deadpan, the Buster Keaton, and all that stuff. Just like to be able to somehow do it, the slightest something. But Abraham Lincoln said, I think you'll be interested in this quote, because he was famously ugly. People said, this guy's ugly. I mean, we see pictures of him now. He doesn't strike me as particularly horrible looking, but I guess, he was awkward.
Yeah.
And he said, no man is responsible for his face before 40, and every man is responsible for his face after 40.
And
it's kind of what you said in the book. It's like, you want to talk about my face? Well, this is why my face is the way it is. And I'm taking responsibility for it, because I lived.
But it's also, but it's also, I kind of disagree with him.
Oh, do you?
And also, we're talking about a time where, like, wasn't it 40? Like, you're going to die soon.
Yeah.
I think it's more so you have.
I think what he means is like your character comes out in your face.
That's true,
ultimately.
right?
Yeah.
But I do think, as far as like how your face is going to age. Sure, if you smoked all your life, that will probably affect it. If you were outside, you'll see evidence of.
It was more of a character thing for him.
But really, like the way my face changed. I mean, part of the reason why I would never get plastic surgery is like, this is really. I mean, yes, all those things. Okay, the snow skiing, all of those things.
Right.
But also, I have to also. I think it's impossible not to acknowledge that this is the way God wants my face to go too.
You speak of God in a amorphous sense, or do you speak of it in an institutional sense? Jewish, Christian,
Oh, no,
Muslim?
just in a, here's my pal.
Okay.
Here's my pal.
I started pivoting to what I call stupid questions because I started to lean into this being a good student in this podcast, and I don't want to do that because it's just repeating shit that I've done before. You know, I want to get an A at this or whatever, or be successful at it, or somebody say, oh, he's really good at that, all the stuff we've been talking about.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, there's like Socrates, like he says he doesn't know anything and he's the smartest guy ever. So it's like, can there be a value in stupid questions? So I've written down some stupid questions.
I'm curious what you think is a stupid question.
Yeah, I've got a lot of them. But if I could have maybe 5 more minutes, because you don't have to get deeply. Is there female failure?
Versus male?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Oh, this is just what, yes or no questions?
No, I mean, I don't know if you're inspired to.
Oh, yeah, no, I think what men see as failure and what women see as failure is pretty interesting. I think there's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you wrap it up in 30 seconds what it is?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Good. Is old failure different from young failure? Failure is an older person as opposed to a younger person.
Yeah, I think there's far less for younger. I'll say just this as an example. Like when I went to school at 46 as a freshman, I realized that I don't think brains are unable to learn later. You know, they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Not at all. I think our ego grows so accustomed to knowing and thinking we need to know the answer. And if we don't look like we know the answer, people are going to think we're stupid and that we don't know what we're doing and think poorly of us. But as a child, you're so accustomed to not knowing the answer. You're accustomed to going into classrooms and not knowing, algebra 1, algebra 2, whatever, the progression. And that's normal. But when we become adults, that's not seen as normal.
Right.
And I think if more people just accepted that there's a lot of things you don't know and walk in and go like, yeah, I don't know the answer. I'd like to learn about this. Then I think it'd be easy to go back to college, there's other reasons, financial and time-wise and all that.
Right.
But I think just as far as the brain being plastic, it is. Mm-hmm. It's hungry for it. It's like a stomach wanting food. Like, I think. I mean, you've done a lot of school.
Well, I like Zen mind.
You have a PhD, no? In literature?
No, but close.
Oh, you're just one dissertation away from it?
Just one
little dissertation.
400-page book away from it. I like Zen mind, beginner's mind. I like, what if I didn't know anything about this thing?
But I think it's the admitting that you don't. I think that's where people have a problem with it, and that's what keeps them from learning new things.
Yeah.
I think.
Is there failure? Is there failure?
Maybe that's to a person. Maybe that's, to me, failure would be if I don't go in the direction I know I'm supposed to go in. Mm-hmm. The absolute total failure. Or if I know what what a film needs to be or a book needs to be or something, and I don't do it. Like I can't even. That just feels awful.
Yeah, and you know it.
You do, don't you?
Yeah,
I mean,
you know it, and no amount of awards is going to make that go away either.
And you feel when you're like pulling away from it or veering off it and stuff, and it's a really bad feeling. That to me feels like failure.
My last stupid question is it a window or a door?
I think it's always a door.
Okay. Yeah, it's a door.
It's a door.
Okay. That's totally legitimate.
something to move through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited about going forward.
Yeah.
And I think it's been a long time since we have as a society.
Well, I'm excited to see what you do. Thanks so much for listening to Fail Better. If you haven't yet, now is a great time to subscribe to Lemonada Premium. You'll get bonus content like my thoughts on conversations with guests including Alec Baldwin and Rob Lowe. Just hit the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts, or for all other podcast apps, head to lemonadapremium.com to subscribe. That's lemonadapremium.com. Fail Better is a production of Lemonada Media in coordination with King Baby. It is produced by Keegan Zema, Aria Bracci, and Donnie Matias. Our engineer is Brian Castillo. Our SVP of Weekly is Steve Nelson. Our VP of New Content is Rachel Neal. Special thanks to Carl Ackerman, Tom Kupinski, and Brad Davidson. The show is executive produced by Stephanie Whittles-Wax, Jessica Cordova-Kramer, and me, David Duchovny. The music is also by me and my band, the lovely Colin Lee, Pat McCusker, Mitch Stewart, Davis Rowan, and Sebastian Modak. You can find us online at Lemonada Media, and you can find me at David Duchovny. Follow Fail Better wherever you get your podcasts, or listen ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership.